my first 50K month, my first 100K, my first 200K month, none of them came from me doing something from my brain and being like, this is going to be the sale. Like, this is going to be the thing. I've got my words perfect and everything. It literally every single time was an integration of capacity. I can always tell that I'm going to have a successful launch by the amount of meltdowns that I have beforehand. Dear Miss Craft, this is a transmission from the seventh dimension. I'm Camille Craft, and about 3.5 years ago, I made a decision to use the eclipse portals to quantum leap. I'm going to show you on this podcast how to specifically create revenue, money, impact, change, and visibility using the power within you. It is through the astrological impact of astrology that I've been able to create a 7-figure brand, go completely viral, reach 200K months with consistent ritual. And I'm going to break down specifically how you are going to do that in your life without having to sacrifice more time, your identity, and your life purpose. So if you're ready to master making money but need to find your life purpose, this is for you. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about this concept that your business is a mirror to your internal state, which I am a huge proponent of internal work for any creative CEO, founder. Like, honestly, the most spiritual thing that you could possibly do on this planet is to have a business at this time, or to even think about having a business, like for real. So, we're going to talk a little bit about how I use mirror work in my business and how you can really use this opportunity or this exercise or this practice to completely accelerate your business, your success and wealth. And if you find yourself hitting a revenue ceiling or an identity ceiling, or you're, in this space around, I think that many founders and creatives experience where the muse has just been lost and you don't want to do anything, you're going to want to make sure that you save this episode and come back to it again and again and again, because I'm going to tell you each one of these are identity markers in which you are going to literally accelerate your business. However, until we pull out that thread or we pull out that one thing or belief, we're not going to get to the levels that we want. So we're going to dive in right now talking about mirror work, business, and so forth. So I've been doing mirror work probably for, I don't even know how long, probably my entire life, but I didn't realize I knew what I was doing. So when I started Vital Mystic, I didn't start it from, okay, like what's the best strategy? I started it from, I know I'm powerful. There's a power deep inside of me and I don't know how I'm going to extract it, but I'm going to figure it out. And that's when the rituals started to trickle through. And so as I did more and more ritual, I got more experiential. Like I could feel that there is a level of power inside my being that was very ancient, but it could not be accessed through my mind. And I didn't know anything about subconscious reprogramming. At the time I was in EMDR therapy, which by far is one of the most powerful therapies to this day that I will stand behind. It like literally changed my life. And I was just moving through all these things, but there was an element that was missing. And I always think about these moments because for a lot of us, we don't realize we're being initiated for something greater. And I used to think to myself, why the fuck can I not be successful? Like, why am I not successful? All my friends are successful. There's something blocking me, all of those things. And that's when these topics started to come up and it started to really divulge in, well, if something is not happening in my life, therefore there must be something inside of me that is blocking it. And I know there's a lot of discrepancy with that viewpoint. Of course, there's like so many reasons, why people can't be successful in this world. I totally depends on how the experience is in your life, where you're born, like the privilege that you have, all of those things. And also, I'm just a fucking advocate that I truly believe you have so much power inside of you. And whatever you set your heart and your mind to, you can transform. And I had to, lack of better words, I had to really come into that belief. And I had to really know that, because for me, like if I didn't believe that I could have the power to transform my life, or regardless of my experiences or the things I had been through, I would have forever told the story that it was not meant for somebody like me. And the moment that I started to tell the story that I did have the power to do these things, and that even though I had experienced all these things, that made me even more of an advocate and even more of a person who was destined to succeed. And so that's what I want the story for you first to tell, is that before we even start into the mirror work, I want you to tell the story that you are fucking destined to succeed regardless of the experiences, especially because of the experiences or triumphs or obstacles that you have been through. Those are all touch points on why you are the perfect person to do what you're being called to do. So let's talk about when your biz is trying to tell you something. Every freaking pivot, and I wish this could be different. I honestly like I'm always with like the universe, like, why does it have to always be this intense? And honestly, I just don't think I would listen unless it was. But when your business is trying to tell you something, so I kind of touched on these markers in the beginning of the episode, which is, you start to lose your lust, you could say, for what you do. You want to burn everything down. You want to walk away. Maybe you're starting to lose personal relationships in your life. All of these different identity markers, and all of a sudden, maybe your sales go down, maybe clients are leaving, maybe, there's a real kind of type of issue, or maybe you're just feeling like you're on the bridge of collapse, even though you spent so much time building this business and this identity. And I just want to let you know, this is not the end. Okay. This is not the end. What this is doing is it's guiding you to something better. But so many times we're trying to grip on to the past, and thank God I'm forced to listen and pivot. And sometimes this moment is called a sacred pivot. I call this a sacred pivot. Anytime anybody comes into my field, I'm like, if shit's falling apart, if it's not working, if you're having some form of spiritual awakening, if you don't like, if things are shifting around you and your friends and family and all the relationships, guess what? You are about to have a complete identity rebirth. And that's what this mirror work is for. And that's why it's so pivotal. Legacy builders understand divine timing. While others manifest randomly, you'll know which cosmic windows amplify intentions by 10x. 2026 Ritual Planner, every cosmic money window, eclipse portals, Venus transits, lunar cycles, mapped with manifestation rituals. Same cosmic timing I've used for seven-figure spiritual entrepreneurs. 2026 cosmic windows won't repeat for another 12 plus years. Miss now, wait until 2038. The complete manifestation calendar is only $37. Spiritual entrepreneurs don't leave timing to chance. So let's talk about the 5 categories of the business mirrors and what they actually reveal. So, the first one is going to be identity and offer. So, what you believe you're worth shows up in how you price, package, and present your offers. Undercharging, over delivering, and hiding your best work are all identity mirrors. So, I always talk about this experience about when, like, August of 2022, I didn't know what I was doing as a digital creator. I didn't even know how to launch, you guys. Like, I just figured it out as I went. And I did this thing. I did this whole class for like Lionsgate or whatever. And I was so scared to pitch that I did the class and I didn't pitch. And then what ended up happening was I put all of this knowledge about how to work with alchemy and how to work with ritual for like $700, which was way underpriced for the level of knowledge in years that I had taken, but I wasn't valuing myself. And so I left that launch so disappointed. And so like I had such a great lead up, and people were even asking me like, hey, can you send me a link? I thought you were going to like pitch a program with us. Oh my God, I'm like such the worst salesperson. But I made one sale. I made one $700 sale. And that moment I was like, I just need to give up. Like, I can't do this anymore, blah, 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 blah. And so I tapped into my intuition, and it was just like, ask this one person just to like hold off a month, and that you're going to actually break up this offer into 3 different offers. Following, like within the next 60 days, I broke that one $700 offer up into 3 and made $70,000. So when you are actually honoring your worth, when you are actually honoring your your value and your knowledge, the universe will sit like literally slap. Like it's just like, yep, we got behind you. The other thing that I've also seen is that if you're still trying to sell access to you for not of the price or value that you're supposed to, and your capacity levels are already reached, the universe is not going to let you do that as well, because you are already in the space of overwhelm, which brings me to the mirror work, the second category of the mirror business mirror category, which is nervous system to sales. So many people are trying to just chase this number, right? And, I will tell you right now, my first 50K month, my first 100K, my first 200K month, none of them came from me doing something from my brain and being like, this is going to be the sale. Like, this is going to be the thing. I've got my words perfect and everything. It literally every single time was an integration of capacity. I can always tell that I'm going to have a successful launch by the amount of meltdowns that I have beforehand. And I wish it was different. Like I said, I wish it was different. I don't make the rules. It just is what it is. And so your capacity to hold desire without collapsing into urgency determines how you sell. Desperation, over explaining, or discounting are nervous system mirrors, right? And so when you hold that value, right? Hold that value and you expand your capacity to receive more, not because you're constantly giving more, but you are actually creating more stability and scaffolding for people to be in your world. That's also going to slap for your business. And that in itself is going to bring more sales. When you get to a certain point as a founder or entrepreneur, you're going to realize that high level coaching is it's going to be a weight at some point, right? Unless you keep putting those prices up. So my invitation for you is to ask yourself, where am I holding back my own capacity? Where am I telling the story that I can't handle it? Where am I putting markers on myself? Where can I build more scaffolding, or where can I hire more support for me to create more? And every single time I have a successful launch, the most successful launches in my business have not always been in exchange of my time and energy. They have been in exchange of my community, my knowledge, and so forth. So the third one is going to be your beliefs. All right. So your beliefs to your audience. The people you attract reflect what you secretly believe is possible for you. A skeptical audience mirrors unresolved skepticism in yourself. A devoted audience mirrors self-trust. I will literally die on this hill, which is people can feel your ass through the screen. They can feel you through the screen. They can tell if you are authentic or not. And I'm telling you right now, and I've been saying this for years, if you are not authentic, if we cannot feel your heart, that is not going to go well for you in the coming years, especially as people's ideals of what business should look like are going to be shifting, and the ideals of what money should look like are shifting. This is a collective thing that is happening right now. We have greater ideals, like our level of sovereignty and understanding. So our beliefs need to match that, right? So let me ask you, are you opening the doors every single day in your business? Are you opening the doors and making sure that you are visible? Are you opening the doors and getting onto a freaking camera and sharing who you are with the world? Because for me, scripting has never worked. I know it works for some people. I know people script, but I literally can feel through the screen when somebody is reading from a script, right? And if you could probably feel if I was reading from a script right now, but I'm not. And one of the biggest things that people tell me all the time is the reason why they come into my containers is because of I'm so authentic. I'm so who I am. There's no and another thing people have said to me too is oh, you really are who you are online. And to me, it's just wild to me that you can be different versions, right? So belief and audience. The fourth one is sovereign self, team, and containers. How you lead, delegate, and hold boundaries with your team and clients reflects your relationship with your own authority. Chaos in the container is always chaos in the self first. This is a big one, especially for my scaling entrepreneurs. If we are leaking energy in any way, shape, or form, if we have brought in codependency, if we are momming our clients, if we are like hand holding people, that's not our fucking job. Our job is to speak power into people and to remind them of who they are. That is your job, okay? As a leader, as a mentor, as a coach, you are there to reflect back the greatness of your clients. And you are also there to lead with good information and making sure that they have all the tools and resources to create those powerful results in their lives. However, I don't know if anyone, like this is the thing is like people also have to want it. And one of the biggest things that I will say as scaling entrepreneurs is that you will not lean forward as you scale. You will actually lean back. And when you lean back and you let people come forward and they stabilize in their own power, that's the opportunity to really see your clientele and your community just freaking go totally wild. And it's amazing to witness. And we need more people in that space. The fifth and final mirror is spiritual alignment and revenue. Okay. Money flows where frequency is clear. Inconsistent income often mirrors inconsistent identity, toggling between I am this, but what if I'm not? Revenue is also a readout of your signal. So ultimately, I always see, and this happens a lot when we are like, this in our revenue. And this happens with a lot of us. But in one of the first episodes, I talked about resonance, right? Resonance between your identity and then where you are going. And then that frenetic energy, right? That comes in between. And this is just part of the initiation of business. But ultimately, it's like, how can we allow for ourselves to rewire those beliefs of our identity and who we are when we're successful, and then also come into that greatness and create leadership change and impact. And that's all, like, again, soul businesses are there to accelerate you into your greatness, to accelerate you into your purpose, to accelerate you into the skills of leadership. I am not the woman I was when I started Vital Mystic. I'm a completely different version that I could have never imagined. And I'm going to guess the same thing is for you. So, with this, I want to talk a little bit about my client's result on the last mirror work series that we did last year in November 2025 for Mercury retrograde, which this is why I always work with retrogrades and eclipses. Very important time because ultimately you are going to kick up every fucking fear, every belief, every identity thing. You're going to be faced with all of that stuff. And the way that you respond to it is how you quantum leap, is how you allow for yourself to jump into a new timeline to create new results. That is ultimately the reason why my client, Michelle, created a 196K day from one ritual series that I'm pretty sure we did for like 5 days. So that's the piece. When we do deep inner work and when you have that scaffolding, usually the answer is right in front of you. And it's at a certain point, you know all the strategy, you know all the things, you've applied all the things. And guess what? At some point, you're going to have to innovate. And that innovation comes from trust. Even though you're responsible for a team or clientele or people or whatever it is, you are in that leadership role for a reason. So if these words are resonating, I encourage you to check out our planners and really look into these opportunities of growth for you. The mirror work is where it's at because it's where we start to really see like, okay, like if this world is a mirror, I have the power to shift it. And that is maybe an audacious belief, but I truly believe that we can shift a lot of things when we recognize our power from within. That's today's spiritual guidance from the seventh dimension. Ready for live transmissions and daily drops on the current transits specifically for you? I've got you. Join my private Telegram channel via the link in the show notes. Remember, trust what you're feeling. Your true identity is already built. Just say yes.